we want to talk about things we do know that we're seeing in the public, and there are some things that we don't know and won't know until they happen.
Right.
And then there are things that we do know about God and what we don't know about what God's going to do. So I'd like to take this show down that path and just talk about different things that we do know, what we are seeing, and just we can conclude by saying, this is what we know, this is what we don't know, and this is what God expects us to do with what we know and what we don't know.
Absolutely. And, look, the things that we do know, well, we do know that we're watching a movie here that's going on in D.C. We'll get into some of the specifics here in a little bit. But, I mean, the things that we don't know how long this is going to go on, and I think that this is always by design, like we talked about last week. It's by design by God. It's by design by the powers to be who are running the show, so to speak, military or whoever. It's just going to take time. And the problem is we got people jumping ship. We got people bailing because it didn't happen the way they rehearsed it in their head.
Right.
And just kind of like we deal with prophecy every day. People rehearse a prophecy in their head, how it's going to come to pass. And then when it doesn't, boom, he's a false prophet. He's this, he's that. Every name in the book, you start getting called. And it's not until it starts to come to pass, people go, oh, I guess that's how it was going to come to pass. It's the same thing with this theory, so to speak. So, we can't get overzealous. Look, I want to see the arrest just like everybody else does. We do know the arrests are coming. God has said it's coming.
Right.
He said that, there'll be military tribunals. And, who was it? This thing is just not over with yet. I don't know if you saw the video circulating. We talked about a pre-interview where somebody had taped Trump walking on the golf course. And they said, "Thank you, Mr. President, for your service." And he says, "Well, it's not over yet."
Right.
So there's another sign. This is not over. We just have to sit back. We have to let God do his work. Whatever that work is and however long, that's the $1 million question everybody wants to know is like, how long is this going to take before we get the arrest? Nobody knows, guys. I think they could literally count probably on one hand who truly knows when this and how this is going to go down, because I don't believe anybody truly really knows, because again, the battlefield is it's fluid. It's constantly moving. It's constantly changing. Right. Moves, counter moves. So, I mean, you've got a lot of dynamics at work here right now.
I think it's, we're looking at our little part of the world right here. And we preach on this show, stop looking for the hows, just wait for him.
Right.
Look, we can't even begin to think like God thinks.
Right.
And so I think we need to take into consideration that this is a worldwide event. Not only does God have to manipulate and put things in place in America, he has to do it around the world.
Right.
We have world leaders that are attacking Trump and supporting Biden and saying good riddance to Trump. And there's a lot of manipulation that has to go on worldwide. And we need to consider that. It's going to take more than a week to do. Right. Even if we pulled God out of the picture, it's going to take more than a week to do. But since God is in the picture, I think that will expedite things, and we just need to wait for God to walk things out.
Right. Look, you're taking down thousands of years of corruption that have been in control of the earth right now. Exactly. And you're not going to do it overnight. This is why we have one shot at this. One. Yeah. And if we don't get it right the first time, forget it. All bets are off at that point. So we've got to get it right the first time. We don't see the intelligence coming across the president's desk, or we don't see the intelligence coming across, our military intelligence. These guys know what's going on way more than anyone off the street's going to know. And we're sitting here Monday morning quarterbacking something when we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle. You know what I mean?
Right. That's exactly what it is. So, and you mentioned earlier a while ago, and I want to say something and encourage other prophets to not attack each other. And I've been seeing that. This is what I feel in my spirit. I was talking to my wife the other day, and I said, you know what? I feel like God's on his last go around here.
Yep. And
that's what's setting in place right now. That's why we're seeing Biden where he's at. That's why we see Trump where he's at. But even Sid Roth came out, which was more disappointing to me than any of them. He came out and apologized because he was wrong about Trump. And this is a guy that has prophets on his show that are prophesying a 2-term for Trump. And I'm like, Sid, come on, don't be doing that. And then I hear on social media, I see prophets attacking other prophets and calling each other, calling liars and stuff. And I think that it just needs to set and rest. And through all this, what I was saying was, I believe God is making his last go around. He's
Right.
giving everybody a chance. Look, God has
Yep.
given us multiple chances to get right with him. He said multiple times, I've drawn the line, choose you this day who you're going to serve. And I think God is making his last rounds. And God showed me over a year ago that there's a hammer of justice that's going to drop by God. And I think that hammer is getting ready to drop hard.
And it's going to drop on the church first. And
Absolutely,
we're going to get into some of this here with the pyramid, like we talked about last week. Got to show me some things on that a little bit. I want to get into a little bit deeper on that. The thing is, like, you're absolutely correct as far as this is the last go around, so to speak, before his judgment, I believe, falls. I believe it's already falling in some places.
It
but
is.
Look, we have a convergence right now of things on many different levels and many different dimensions, and I say that literally. There's a convergence going on, and right now you're finding out politically, you're finding out spiritually who is on God's side and who is on man's side. Who has the fear of the Lord, who has the fear of man. And this is, when we're talking about the apology tour, like the Lord told me was coming, it's some of that is the fear of man. Mm-hmm. And, you've got, you may have some backbiting going on out there. Well, I'm going to explain why there's a lot of this stuff that's going on. When we look at that pyramid, I don't know if you have it.
I do.
Okay. So last week I started talking about the pyramid a little bit, and we started talking about from the Marshall Report. They did a fantastic job about the corporation. She was talking about the corporation, how it worked, how Donald Trump had taken down the corporation,
right.
And she had a fantastic pick in there, and that was of the pyramid, of how this hierarchy works, if you will, or the rank structure of the pyramid. And there it is. And so when you look at this pyramid right here, there's, including the eyes, about 13 levels, right? So you've got the Jesuits first, you got the Illuminati, Knights Templar, Knights of Malta, 32nd plus degree Freemasons, and then number 6, notice the number 6, is organized religion. Now, this organized religion is a part of this whole pyramid, right? So, it doesn't matter if you're Assemblies of God, Church of God, Lutheran, Methodist, Catholic. I don't care who you are. This is organized religion is what this is talking about. You are a part of the pyramid. Now, if you go all the way to the bottom where it says NGOs, think tanks, and big charities, the NGOs are the nonprofits, guys. That's the 501c3 is what they're talking about right there.
Right.
Now, everybody looks at this at the bottom and they go, well, it's at the bottom of the pyramid. It's not that big of a deal. Wrong, guys. This is showing you that it is the foundation upon which the pyramid is built. The 501c3s, the think tanks, the big charities. Why is that? It's because they're coming in the name of the Lord, in the name of good works. That's what the 501c3s are for. It's what the big charities are for. It's all in the name of good works. Now, God never, ever compromises with evil, period.
Correct.
He can't. Because he's a holy God. He can't. There's nothing in him that would ever compromise with evil. So why would we as man ever compromise with evil? If we are truly sons and daughters of God, we would never compromise. So when you have people out there, let me just read something here real quick. Matthew 24:24. It says right here, for false messiahs, false prophets will be raised, and they will give great signs and wonders in order to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. Behold, I have told you beforehand. Therefore, if they would say to you, behold, he's in the desert, do not come out. Behold, if he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. He's in the inner rooms. There are prophets and there are pastors who are telling you that God is in the 501c3s. And they're wrong.
Come on.
They are literally, look, the Bible talks about anyone or a prophet that comes to you and they try to bring you away from Christ and lead you into the kingdom of darkness. Okay. When you look at this pyramid, I want everybody to look at this pyramid for a second. When you look at the pyramid, that is the kingdom of darkness.
Yes, it is.
The 501c3s, the think tanks, the big charities, they are the part of the kingdom of darkness. I've heard every excuse in the book for the last, 5 years that I wrote that 501c3 prophecy. I've heard every excuse in the book. God told me to be a part of the 501c3. No, the 501c3 is a good thing. Folks, God never told you to be part of the 501c3. He does not compromise with evil, because if he told you to be a part of the 501c3, that's not the same God that I serve.
Right.
So when you talk about someone who's leading you away from Jesus Christ and pointing you to the kingdom of darkness through the 501c3, Paul, that is the true definition of a false prophet.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
It's not the accuracy. It's one who leads you away from Jesus Christ, the kingdom of God, and points you to the kingdom of darkness, which is what you see before you right now. That is the definition of a false prophet. And that's the part that most people don't understand. Now we can keep going with this, but what I want people to understand is that the 501c3s is the kingdom of darkness. And here's the other thing. Bible says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Look at everyone on this list right here, guys. If you're a 501c3, a church, or whatever it is, you are now yoked with these organizations. And some of these that fall under here that you don't see, Planned Parenthood, Church of Satan, all of them are part, Church of Islam, they're all a part of this pyramid, and even organized religion.
Right.
This is why God is calling his people out. He's performing a rescue mission. Look, I believe we have good prophetic voices, even in the system, but they've been blinded because they've taken a bribe through the 501c3, because it says it blinds the eyes of the wise and perverts the words of the righteous. The reason that people like myself can prophesy on this is because we are not in the system. We're not blinded by the system. Therefore, we can prophesy about the system. We can see what the system does. Those who are the remnant can prophesy about these things. But if you're in the system, this is where they get blinded and they say, no, it's a good thing. No, God told me to be a part of this. No, he didn't.
Right.
No, he absolutely did not, because he cannot compromise with evil. So what gives us the right as men and women of God to compromise with any evil like that? We're not even supposed to give the perception of evil.